Everyone, we've made it to the end of day 3 and the sad bit, but there's a few things that we need to go through and a few things that people that we'd like to recognise, so please stick around with us. But first, the Rusty Wrench. I'd like to introduce last year's recipient, John Oxer, to present the Rusty Wrench Award. Thank you, John.
Thank you, I've got it right here. So for those of you who haven't seen it, this is the Rusty Wrench Award. So the Rusty Wrench Award is named after Rusty Russell, who decided that he wanted there to be a Linux conference here in Australia. So he just went ahead and organised one. That first conference in 1999 is what has grown into the linux.conf.au conference that we have today. So all of us are still benefiting from his initiative and energy way back in the early days. So the Rusty Wrench Award may seem like a little bit of a joke initially, but to receive it is a tremendous honour. And to me personally, the criteria for who should receive the award includes a couple of parameters. First, it should be someone who has made significant contributions to the Australian open source community, but hasn't necessarily been recognised for it, or at least not as well recognised as they should be. This is really a chance for us to shine a spotlight on an individual and say how much we appreciate them. Secondly, it should be someone whose work has enabled or supported other people in their own projects or goals. So when I saw one particular name as a nominee for the award, I knew immediately that this was the person I wanted to receive it. In fact, I think it's fair to say that without his work, you probably wouldn't be experiencing this online conference right now. So it gives me tremendous pleasure to announce that the next recipient of the Rusty Wrench is Ryan Werner.
Thank you.
Hey Ryan, congratulations. Now for people who don't know about Ryan's work, I think the best thing I can do right now is read the nomination message that came in, because it will explain a little bit about it. So it says, for more than 10 years, Ryan has been a key part of the Australian open technology community through helping develop an entirely open source conference video recording stack. Ryan's work set new standards for the production, speed and quality of conference videos, not just in Australia, but throughout the world, cutting production times from months to just days. Timely videos are now an expected product of tech conferences because of Ryan's work. Ryan's attention to detail also improves attendee experience at the conferences themselves. He provides invaluable feedback on stage design and was the technical brain behind the high-energy lightning talks that are now an expected part of linux.conf.au and PyCon.au. Unfortunately, we couldn't do them this year. Ryan was brought on to do the same for PyCon.au 2020, but the pandemic this year changed everything. In response, he put in many long days of planning, testing, coordinating, organising, training, configuring, and developing. PyCon.au 2020's success is due in no small part to not just that skill and experience, but Ryan's vision for the standard of quality remote events can achieve, his attention to detail in executing that vision, his leadership of the AV team, and his understanding of what makes PyCon.au an important and special event to so many in the community. So that was the nomination message that came in, and I think that sums it up very well. So congratulations, Ryan. I can't think of anyone who deserves this more, and this is going to be heading your way.
Thank you very much. I rolled to receive this. I didn't expect it at all, so completely unprepared. But yeah. Look, I mean, a lot of the AV tech stuff isn't just due to me. It's there's a really cool and awesome AV team. So I'd like to call out to people like Daniel, Patrick, Jordan, and Michael, and plenty of others. Of every year they put an effort to make sure this stuff works really well. But yeah, like this is something I've done for I guess the last 15 years. It's been a long time, and it's really done because I guess I did video stuff early on, and I always saw I guess the impact that getting the video tech right had in the wider community. Thank you very much. This is fantastic. Really appreciate it.
It's something that's very hard to get right, and when it goes smoothly, nobody notices, and the result is fantastic. And you're the person behind the scenes that makes it all happen, particularly in an event like this when it's online. So thanks, Ryan.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks, Sarah.
So congratulations to Ryan. Next, we would like to award something that hasn't been awarded since 2009, a Community Recognition Award. 2020 has been an extraordinary year, presented us with extraordinary circumstances. The threat of COVID-19 makes it easy to let to let our guard down, soften our principles, allow the infringement of our freedoms and protections we stand to uphold. The work of this team has been a countering force, elevating the need for us to take a critical lens to how technology ostensibly made to protect us must be held to higher standards of validity and verification. This team has methodically, systematically, thoroughly, and comprehensively analysed the Australian government's design, deployment, and ongoing handling of COVID-safe application, providing well-evidenced critique, suggestions for improvement, and grounded in evidence and advocacy for better solutions for all Australians. Meanwhile, the exemplary work has been disregarded by the government and its agencies, to the detriment of 27 million Australians who have lived this year under existential threat of a virulent and damaging pathogen. Their work is exemplar of upholding the several of the values to which Linux Australia aspires: openness, freedom of expression, respect for dissenting and non-mainstream views, and diversity of thought and representation. Linux Australia would like to award the Community Recognition Award to the COVID Safe Analysis team, led by Jeff, Vanessa, and Jim. We appreciate the passion, dedication, leadership you have shown us during the horrific year, not just for Australians, but the world. Please help me congratulate this team for such a wonderful job. Next, the Turn Up on Time prize. Turns out that someone didn't pick one up this morning. So you have until 6:30 tonight, AEDT, to come to the Rego desk and say hello to us. Otherwise, we may just have to keep the prize to ourselves. Thank you to Diode Magazine for the wonderful prize. The winner of the 12-month subscription to the Diode Magazine is Grant Diffley. So please come and see us at the Rego desk. Now, it's time to say goodbye.
I would like to thank all of our sponsors, without which we would not have been able to deliver linux.conf.au 2021. Our Emperor Penguin sponsor and long-time supporter of linux.conf.au, IBM. Our Emperor Penguin sponsor, Google. Our King Penguin sponsors, ARM and Red Hat. Our Royal Penguin sponsor, SUSE. Our Delhi Penguin sponsors, Linux Professional Institute, Elastic, Collabora, and Code Construct. Our Outreach and Inclusion sponsor, ARM. Our wonderful contributors, who you can read on the slide now. Our in-kind sponsors, Sticker Mule, Diode Magazine, and No Starch Press.
And to our carbon footprint reduction trees that are planted by 15 trees. Also, as a thank you to our keynotes, speakers, mini-conf organisers, we are planting 15 trees per speaker to offset your vehicle. Including the speakers' gifts, we'll be planting 1,069 trees in bushfire ravaged areas that affected all of us in 2020. This will help revegetate the areas and hopefully bring back our precious wildlife into their natural habitats. There is still time to buy your trees via the dashboard on linux.conf.au, so please do so if you'd like to. You have until midnight tonight, AEDT, to purchase more trees. I would like to also thank Russell, Stuart, and the rest of Linux Australia for letting Joel and myself and the rest of the team to carry out this experiment.
We needed a platform that could replicate a physical LCA as much as possible. After very positive recommendation from Pike Online, we too selected Venulus, and we're very happy with how it allowed everyone to come together in a virtual way. Thanks to Raphael for his support during the event, especially staying up late to make sure that everything was running smoothly. Venulus will close at some point midnight somewhere in the world tonight. We also want to thank Next Day Video and Citrix for their work on the AV for the conference. Ryan has worked very hard to deliver the high-quality video we have come to expect from LCA, and we are very thankful to him and the rest of the AV team for their effort. A shout out to the rest of the core team as well: Michael Farrell, Daniel McCarthy, Patrick Quinn Graham, and Jordan Songer, who all worked behind the scenes to coordinate the presentations. Chris from Cybertrix helped out with many aspects of the streams, including different graphics and countdown sequences, plus managing streaming for the Tux Theatre. He was also responsible for the background music in each of the streams. You can check out his music on SoundCloud if you enjoyed it as much as we did.
Next, we would like to thank our session selection committee, especially to our SSC chair, Josh Hesketh. His elite spreadsheet skills made for the process to be smooth and accepting of our tight deadlines. I would now like to welcome Josh to the stage.
Hello, and thank you. Yeah, thank you, Sarah. Firstly, I would like to say thank you to everybody, to all the speakers who have presented this weekend and Monday as well. It's been a real pleasure to watch everything, and as already been discussed, how well the streaming has been and everything's gone with the online conference. Without the speakers, the conference is not possible. So thank you all very much. This year, the session selection committee had a very short runway to do the call for papers and the actual selection and putting together the program. So I appreciate all the speakers who managed to submit in that time, because we didn't give you a lot of opportunity to put together your proposals. So that was very much appreciated. Statistics are always something that people like, so let's go to that. This year we had 3 keynotes, 4 mini-comps. There were 11 mini-comp submissions, so tight competition to get a mini-comp slot. There were at least 42 topics covered by the main conference talks, and that was counted manually, so it could well be more, but that was across 48 talks and 48 unique speakers from 126 submissions. So if you do the maths, that's about 38% acceptance rate. So if you put in a talk and you got rejected, please don't feel bad. We had to reject talks that got a lot of positive votes just because we had so many of them. We had such a high quality amount of talks that it was impossible to fit everything in. To do that process, we had 26 session selection committees members who conducted 1,272 reviews. An average review takes me between 5 and 10 minutes. It's a lot of effort to read abstracts, research the project if I'm not familiar with it, the technologies involved, checking things like involvement in the project from the speaker and things like that. It's an arduous process. So the amount of minutes, I should have calculated this, it would have been an interesting slide, maybe someone else can for me, put together as a total was a significant effort by the whole team. So I do want to thank everyone who contributed to the session selection committee. Your efforts were much appreciated. And so lastly, start writing your talks for next year now, please. We would love to hear from more people, more topics, hopefully more streams, hopefully in person, who knows, but start thinking about your talk, virtual or not. Again, it's competitive, it's a lot of submissions, but that's how we get such a good conference, is by getting those submissions. So please do start thinking about what you'd like to write and get them in now. So thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Josh. And on behalf of the core team, we would like to also thank the Miniconf speakers and the organisers. Thank you to Hugh and Bonnie for GoGlam. Thank you to Andrew for Kernel, John and Andy for Open Hardware, Ewan and Simon for sysadmin. You helped us wrangle 48 speakers in that day. It was a marathon effort. We had 46 sessions. Thank you so much. You pivoted marvellously. I hate the word pivoted, but we made it. To this online format, and worked with us on tech checks, reading massive speakers guides, doing things in multiple platforms, so we thank you. As we mentioned, we'll be planting trees on your behalf to offset 1 car for 2021. How wonderful were our keynotes? We literally searched the globe for wonderful keynotes, and I think we hit the jackpot with the 3 that accepted our invitations. Don't you agree? We would like to thank Corey Doctorow, Lima Freed, Emoji Miller for sharing their thoughts, experiences, and knowledge with us. We are so lucky to have you spend time with us, and you are always welcome back to LCA. Now onto the swag badge. The Open Hardware Miniconf has been a big part of LCA for many years. With moving to online, we wanted to bring a part of the mini-conf to our attendees, and so the swag badge was born. The team have been working on this for months now and have gone above and beyond to deliver, even when we throw a few curveballs by. Well, even if we throw in a few curveballs. Yeah, okay, it was me and I wanted the LEDs on the lanyards. Sorry. As the conference is coming to an end, your swag badge will live on. The Open Hardware MiniConf team are continuing to develop the badge with new features in software, so use Spectrum to stay up to date and with new releases and for tech support. Let's thank our swag badge team for their awesomeness, and the link to the Spectrum chat is below.
We could not have run linux.conf.au 2021 without the support from our volunteers. There is a huge amount of work that goes on behind the scenes, getting speakers ready, monitoring the chat, and relaying questions to our presenters, plus so much more. We had over 30 people volunteer their time over the course of the conference, most of whom worked in the background, and you would have been able to see they are from all over the globe, and they have joined us especially for the closing, and I'd like to thank each and every one of them for helping make this event a reality. Please join me in thanking them for their fantastic work. I would now like to introduce Clinton Roy to speak on behalf of Linux Australia.
Hello, my name is Clinton Roy and I'm the Secretary of Linux Australia, the organisation that supplies the legal, financial and logistical framework to run linux.conf.au. Normally, at this point of the conference, the President of Linux Australia would be thanking the directors of the conference, but this year, due to the change in going online, members of the Linux Australia Council stepped up and took on the extra challenge of directing linux.conf.au. The President did initially want to thank herself for running the conference, but the rest of the Council thought that was a bad. Here I am as a poor substitute. An incredible amount of work goes into running a conference like linux.conf.au, and all the responsibility runs uphill to the directors. It should be emphasised that these duties are done on a volunteer basis. I could sit here and list all of the work that goes into directing a conference, but I thought instead I'd list the outcomes of that work. This is the 20th linux.conf.au that I've attended, so I thought I would go through some of the benefits of the conference that I've experienced over the years, in the hopes that some of the attendees this year will have had the same experiences. I have been enlightened, I've learned details about the systems I've used every day, and looked at them in a new light. Using these insights, I've been able to use everyday systems in new ways. I've been able to take new ways of getting things done into my work processes and my private hobbies. And I think I've been able to appreciate complex systems more. I've been inspired at political and humanitarian levels about the way open source can contribute to the bettering of humankind and the world as a whole. I've made new friends, and in some cases, LCA is the only time I get to see these friends. I've enjoyed myself, getting captivated and carried away by talks, taking me to a different, lighter emotional state. I've learned a heap, a lot of basic assumptions have been challenged, and I've grown as a result. Socially, I have learnt that I'll enjoy myself far more with a few LCA friends at a quiet venue rather than a loud venue with all of my LCA friends. I'm sure there are positive benefits that are unique to others, and I'm here to thank the two directors for all of those benefits. In light of all of the positive outcomes of the conference, the Linux Australia Council is happy to bestow some small gifts to the directors as a totally non-commensurate way of thanking them for all of the work, all the responsibility of running the conference. We hope your dining certificates help you enjoy an evening with your loved ones. If you're new to the conference, we hope you've enjoyed your stay, and we'd like you to welcome If you're new to the conference, we'd hope you've enjoyed your stay, and we'd like to welcome you to the Linux Australia community. If you're interested in running an open source based conference, please reach out to the Linux Australia Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Clinton, and thank you for the lovely gift. So now I'd like to thank the core team. This team. Wow, this team. Joel and I decided to run this back in January. We put out the call for volunteers. We had 10 who responded. And 3 of them had never actually been to an LCA and had never even met us, so why would they even bother, really? But they did. The fact is, the team came together and ran the conference that has got the exact same conference feel, and it was nothing short of amazing. So on behalf of Joel and myself, a big thank you to this team. You have given it your all. So a special thank you to David, our treasurer. You were a good sounding board and you let me buy ridiculous things like LED lanyards. Michael, our sponsor wrangler, PDNS wrangler, volunteer backup, logo designer. That tux is so cute. And I think you even did backstage speaker wrangling at some stage today. And also you took your work meeting calls. Like, who does that really? Will, our grand speaker wrangler, you used those emojis to great success. Stephen Thomas, our trivia expert, our chat backstage speaker wrangler. Ariana, our volunteer coordinator extraordinaire, you made those spreadsheets sing. Carla, who put our garbled words into magic for our announcements as our comms person. Jonathan, our T60 tech checker and made us look good on stage. And Mark, our backstage speaker wrangler and chat monitor. Please join me in thanking this wonderful team who brought you this amazing conference.
Thank you very much for coming to linux.conf.au 2021. You are what makes us come back year after year and volunteering to run this. You've been patient and you've been very understanding, so thank you.
Thank you. Now that brings us to the end of LCA 2021. It's a bit of a sad face, really. We know that things are still changing constantly, but we do hope that we can take you back to Canberra next year. Don't fear though, we'll make sure that the conference is available to everyone around the world once again, just as it was this year. We hope to see you soon, and goodbye.
Goodbye.